Hey everyone, welcome back to another lab walkthrough video. This lab is Potion Masters, and the objective of this lab is to analyze the pH of different potions by using various indicators. So as always, the background information has a bunch of useful information. So for this lab, you will need knowledge of Table M on your chemistry reference table. So just a quick recap of Table M. You have your different indicators, and you have this range, and you have some colors. So this first number and the less is that first color. So if you're using methyl orange and it's red, it's 3.2 or less. If you're using methyl orange and it turns yellow, that means your pH is 4.4 or higher. So it gives you a general range. Now you can use multiple indicators to figure out a smaller range, and we'll get into that later on. So it walks you through how to use Table M and how to use two different indicators to find a smaller range of pH. So this is what I like to call the number line method, which is what you will need later on. So if you know what one thing is using one indicator and what one thing is using a different indicator, you're able to find that smaller range. Again, it's mentioned in more detail there. So your job is to play the role of Professor Snape. So your students created 3 potions, and your job is to figure out if they are brewed correctly based on their pH. So at your lab station, you're going to find a few things. You're going to have your green bin full of safety goggles. Your safety goggles must be on the entire time. You'll have a gray little tray like this with 3 indicators: bromophenol blue, phenolphthalein, and bromocresol green. So they have similar names, some of them. Just make sure you are reading the label carefully. You will also find a test tube holder with 3 test tubes in it. One that's labeled Potion 1, one that is labeled Potion 3, and one that is labeled Potion 2. Okay, so let's just put these in order. Last thing you will find is a large copy of Table M. So your job is to see if these 3 potions were brewed correctly. Now the way in which you will do that, we tell you what the pH should be. So using that information, you should be able to use Table M to figure out what color the indicator should turn the potion. So for example, Potion 1, the pH should be 7.2, and we're going to use bromocresol green to test that. So in order to see if it's brewed correctly, if this was brewed correctly, 7.2 is going to be bigger than 5.4. So if it's bigger than 5.4, it's going to be blue. If it's brewed correctly, it will be blue. If it's not, it will be the other color. Same thing with all the other ones. So let's test it out. Potion number 1, it tells us we need to use bromocresol green. So we're going to just peel off the parafill. We're going to use the indicator that, not this one, this is bromophenol blue. We're going to use the bromocresol green one. And when we're going to do this, we only need 1 or 2 drops. So there's drops. We can give the test tube a nice little swirl, and we see that the color is blue. So this is potion number 1. It turns blue. Now with that, what does a blue solution using bromocresol green tell us? Again, it tells us it's 5.4 or higher. And then we'll be able to use that information to determine if that potion was brewed correctly or not. So once you're done with the indicator, put the cap on. This will stain your clothes, so be careful. Potion number 2 uses phenolphthalein. So same thing, potion number 2, make sure it says that. Take off parafilm, phenolphthalein. We just need 2-3 drops of our indicator. So give it a nice little swirl. Potion number 2 turns this hot pink color. Okay, so then use that information to determine if it was brewed correctly, what should it have been, and then compare it to what it is. Same thing with our last one, potion number 3. I'm going to uncap that, take all the parafilm off, And we're going to use the bromothymol blue for that one. So when you do that, add a few drops. Again, your options for bromothymol blue are yellow and blue. This one looks pretty yellow to me. If these two things match, then you can give it a pass. If these two colors do not match, well then obviously they did something wrong and you can fail them. You'll just have to explain using reasoning from table M and what the different colors mean to back up their grade. So we have our potions. Number 1 is blue, number 2 turns pink, and number 3 turns yellow. So now you have all the information that you need to complete that part of the lab. Once you're finished with potion 3, it is time to clean up. So before you finish the lab, stop what you were doing and clean up. For cleanup, just make sure all of your indicators have been tightly sealed and returned back to the gray bin. All 3 of your tubes can be poured down the drain and rinsed out. You can return the empty rinsed out tubes to your lab teacher. The last 2 potions, they're just on paper, but here you're using 2 different indicators, kind of like what's mentioned in the background information. So it asks you when the indicator is one color versus the other, and you'll be able to kind of create that much smaller range of possible pH. So 4 and 5 are very similar to the example in the background info. With that being said, that is all. Have a wonderful time grading potions. Bye.